and welcome back to this amazing series of celebrating Consumed Coaching's 4-year anniversary. It is crazy to me that it's been 4 years. And actually, at the time of us recording this conversation, it is the official day of our 4-year anniversary. It is crazy, Mom. Literally, I'm blown away at just all that God's done the last 4 years. And I am so excited about this conversation we are about to have with Tracey Lockwood. Lord have mercy. I'm so pumped about this. She is, let me get out her bio because you have to hear this. Today we have the absolute privilege of sitting down with a powerful kingdom leader, Tracey Lockwood, a woman on mission to help Christian leaders rise with integrity, confidence, and faith-driven purpose. Tracey is the founder of Lockwood Relational Leadership Coaching, where she equips leaders to navigate today's challenges with wisdom, authenticity, and a heart aligned with God's will. With 20 plus years of leadership experience in the corporate world, Tracey has seen firsthand how faith and business intersect, and she's on a mission to help leaders bridge that gap with boldness and grace. Her journey into coaching was born from a life-altering moment of surrender, when God took what felt like corporate burnout and frustration and turned it into a mission field. Wow. Today, she walks alongside leaders in business, banking, and beyond, showing them how to lead with clarity, confidence, and conviction without compromising their faith. At Consumed Coaching, we believe that leadership is a calling, not just a position, and Tracey embodies that truth. It has been an honor to watch her take bold steps of obedience to trust God completely and step into the impact He has called her to. So today, we're diving into her story, her leadership philosophy, and how she's empowering Christian professionals to lead without fear, hesitation, or compromise. Tracey, we're so honored that you're here. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Reagan. Thank you, Francine. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We're so excited that you're here. And I know that you've been working with one of our incredible, our best, our like team lead, Megan DeVito. And I can't tell you, every time we have a team call, she's talking about Tracey. And she absolutely loves working with you. And I know the relationship has, how did you guys meet? Do you?
God introduced us.
I love that.
It was right after, well, I was still out on medical leave, I think, and I'll share that with you. But I was really tuned in to listening to him. And she sent me, I actually had been exploring some coaching certificates, non-Christian based, just going back into the workforce. And she reached out on LinkedIn. Completely, none of my network included anything but banking. I mean, no Christian networking, nothing on my LinkedIn profile. And she popped up one day, and I looked at it and I thought, now, where did she come from? And your first instinct is, why do I even respond?
Yes, right. Yes.
And I thought, this is where those steps of faith come in. And so I instant messaged her back and said, I'm just curious, where did you come across my profile? And that was how it started. And so, yeah, she stuck with me. We had a few conversations before it ever went anywhere, but
man, I love that. And I love I've always believed that just like you're saying there, that there's these God intersections, right? And they're strange and they're weird, but you're like, this is too right on, right? You're like, okay, God, this is you. What do I do with this? So good. I love that. I love that. So Tracey, your journey into coaching, it inspires us just in what we've been able to read. Take us back to a pivotal moment when God kind of shifted your perspective on leadership. How did that transformation change the way you lead today?
it kind of all goes back to the moment that I got involved in coaching, and it was just last year. I was just burned out completely working in financial world, all the ups and downs, everything we've been and leadership in general. I actually had just told my boss that put me in a position working on software. I don't want to lead anymore. I don't, I just want to sit home and do my stuff and program a computer, and I don't want a team. I don't want to be responsible for that. I was just done. And
Yeah.
I started having some medical concerns,
Mm.
and it ended up that I went out on a medical leave for about 3 months.
Wow.
And during that time, it was just appointment after appointment, and we couldn't find a diagnosis right away. And I wasn't able to drive, and I was completely reliant on family and my husband and friends to get me around and get me out of the house and do anything that I needed to do. And I was coming up on the end of my 3 months where I had to go back to work, or, my job security, there was no more job security. And I've always, I was raised in a Christian household. I've always been a believer. But I've not always been a Christian, and so I got to a point where I said, I know better than this. And honestly, I started looking on Amazon, like what books do I read? Where do most people say you go to your Bible, but like it was such a huge investment. Like, where do I even open and start? I needed something.
Wow, that's
And
good.
he led me to a book, and it changed my entire life. And right now I wish I had the title of it to share with you.
Yes.
Of course I don't.
Yes.
But it was all about trusting God and truly the nature of what surrendering means. And I sat there one night and I said, it's all yours anyway, and I don't know why I've been fighting it for all of these years, and turned over everything to him. And within a week, they not only had a diagnosis, but I was I was almost completely healed, and within 2 weeks I was back at work. I was
Wow, that gives
and
me
they had,
chills.
yeah, and the doctor had told me that I may have to be on disability, or I may have to change vocations after all of these years. So,
Wow.
but going back, I was a completely different person. He changed my heart. I loved my team during the time I was out. Uh, they showed me who they really were. They visited, called.
Wow.
Um, I just, everything was different. I came back, and everybody asked about everything. And I told them all. I told all the executives, this is what God did for me, and this is how my life has changed. And yeah, it was just a brand new me.
Wow.
And I said, don't you dare take me out of leadership. This is where I know I'm supposed to be. It was about the only thing I did know at that point. He kind of
Yes.
showed me, that leadership is stay where you're at. But at that point it was small steps of faith. I'll reveal more as you step out. And that's kind of how it's been for the
Man.
last year. And so everything's built on that.
Yes. Yes. And so from there, at what point did God begin to share with you that coaching would be a part of that?
At about that same time, I was thinking, as part of leadership and strengthening things, I was like, well, I had taken some classes through my banking before I had gone out on coaching, and it really interested me. And I thought, well, if I get this certification or something, it surely will help in a promotion, or something at work. And then when Megan reached out, I was like, okay, well, I think this one's pretty obvious. And so when I met with her, I was like, yeah, I mean, after everything he's done for me, it just falls into place, and this is what I want to do. But I never started the coaching certification with the idea that I would start a business.
Wow.
I even told her from the beginning, I said, this is just because I really feel like my mission field is still in my work. And I still do,
Yes. Yeah.
to an extent, because this is what gets me out, and this is where I'm trying to reach those clients that I am working with.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Love that.
but yeah, it was a wonderful journey to go through that.
Wow.
Wow, that's huge. So, um, when was that kind of moment whenever God was starting to lead you toward starting your own business though? Like, how did that kind of start?
I I don't know. I don't know. I think like halfway through the certification process, poor Megan, she's just like, we are, but we're not really going to go into the whole business part of it because this is not what you really want. I'm like, hold on a second, maybe
Yes.
let's not dismiss it quite yet.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, and as far as starting my business, like eh, I'm still working on those steps of faith. Like I'm, honestly not sure where that's going.
Yeah.
I I honestly would be happy if it never made a dime, if I was just able to like find people here and say, let's work together
Yeah.
outside of this. And or if it went into some kind of a nonprofit, or if I feel like I've got ideas and I've gotten connections, and just being able to meet other Christian entrepreneurs has just been amazing.
Mm.
The network that um, I've gained already, and the algorithm that my LinkedIn has now changed to
Oh,
because
wow.
being
It so
connected.
listens to us, doesn't it?
Yes.
Um, Megan described a kind of a moment where you were at a meeting and like you were asked to say something, and it was like you kind of talked about the coaching and that you had such a positive response to it. Like people were real encouraging. Do you remember what she might have been talking about?
Um,
I think it was a banking meeting that you were at, and they asked like what you were proud of or something, and you had mentioned the coaching and leadership, and then people responded to you real positively.
yeah, I think there was a forum or something that we were in,
Yeah.
and um, well, and this might be it. It's funny because the bank that I'm working for currently is being acquired by another institution.
That's it.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I am meeting with some of the executives from the other institution,
Mhm.
and one had come over, and he used to be their head of HR.
Wow.
And he's now in a different area of the bank, but he came over and met with me, and he started asking me, he says, like, I saw on LinkedIn you've done a couple of these courses, because I've gotten a few certifications lately. And he said, and I said, well, there's this and this. And he goes, no, he said something about coaching. And I said, oh yeah. And he says, and he started asking me about it. And it turned out that he had gone to seminary, and
Wow.
the CEO of the new institution was used to be a pastor. And it was just all of these things that I had been praying about. Like, is this really, am I supposed to stay on with this new place? And
Yeah.
it just, things fell in place. But yeah, he had followed all of that in the announcements, and had really paid attention to my posts and stuff on LinkedIn. And so I was like, okay, it's nice to be noticed for the for the right things.
Oh,
So yeah.
I love what I'm hearing, because when you follow so closely to the Lord, sure you have goals and sure those things, but what I'm hearing is just this: God has you in this season of just do the next step,
Mhm.
just obey me in the next step, and that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Little not scary, that's not the right word, but it makes your footing kind of like I'm not standing on my own here. I'm just kind of moving with it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's a little hard to explain. It's a little hard
Yeah.
to keep up, like tell my husband, okay, so now we just did this. Now now we're gonna keep going. It's
Yes.
like, okay.
I love it.
But yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's been so exciting, and I just keep seeing doors he's opening.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and opportunities with my church that even.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, that's huge. Okay, so tell me about like being in the corporate world and like even you saying, you didn't see like now you're really connecting with Christian entrepreneurs and like all of these things. And then God did this massive move in your life. And on your website, you talk about how we're supposed to shine our light. And that's what your coaching has in your business. And whether that's nonprofit wise or if like God blows that up and it's like full time coaching, whatever the case may be, how is it that you're seeing Christians being able to show up in the corporate world and shine their light? I'm sure that there are people who are listening who are going, don't even know if I should put on my LinkedIn, right, that I'm a Christian or anything like that, right? So, how do you navigate that now? And what advice would you give?
It's it is so difficult because I mean, I small town, it's not like I work for a huge corporate bank. It's a small town, but even in this kind of a setting, everything's very professional, and it's just not something encouraged.
Mhm.
And so I get it. In my younger years, I worked more like I'm from Washington, so in the Seattle area, more that kind of larger corporation area. But um, yeah, it is very difficult, and it's kind of embarrassing to say that I've been with this company for 5 years, and it wasn't until I came back from that leave and I started openly speaking that I didn't know there was a lot of people here that were Christians,
Wow.
because
Yes.
that's the atmosphere and the culture that we have is, to keep it quiet.
Mhm.
And so, but it's so peaceful, but um, liberating, I guess, to be able to let that go
Yeah.
and know that we're very blessed in the United States to have freedom of religion,
Mhm.
and we don't have to hide behind any of those laws. And so, um, but to ultimately know, and I tell myself all the time, because I think we're so used to following corporate rules, or the rules of this is my job and I have to hold tight to it because this is what is my security. Well,
Mhm.
it's not. God is your security. And
Yes.
he's the one that provides ultimately for us. And I tell myself all the time, if I'm doing right by him, he's got me, right? I'm not worried about my next job or the next employer that might be looking at LinkedIn, or
Mhm.
even, I posted the other day on my website, my first blog post about servant leadership.
Mhm.
And, it's something that I strongly believe in, that he gives us a manual on how to be leaders with his word. And it's not commonly accepted in our corporate world. That's not how we're taught to lead.
Yes.
Actually, I've had a lot of scrutiny under as far as that goes. But and I thought this morning, oh, I saw my HR person was on my LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, this is great. She's right. But it it feels wonderful to know that I've got the ultimate
Mhm.
security that I can have, and I have nothing to worry about. So
Amen.
yeah, it's just like I said, it's just so liberating and free. And um, my team that I manage a department, and my team is mostly younger. Well, a lot of people are younger than me, but mostly younger teammates, probably my kids' ages. And none of them were raised in Christian households, and none
Wow.
of them are believers.
Yeah.
But this opportunity and me having my own business, because they respect me and because we're close, every single one of them has been so supportive, and
Wow.
it's allowed me to open those doors and be able to talk to them
Mm,
and um, make some headway with really making those connections genuine
mhm.
as a manager. So not just as a manager, but as a friend. And I don't feel like I'm preaching to them when I
Mm,
say tensions are high around here and we need to give the other person grace and, use those kind of biblical principles in our leadership
yes.
because they understand
Mhm.
what my principles are. They understand my values. We go through value assessments and stuff here in my department. We
I love
talk about those kinds of things.
that.
And yeah, to the point where when I started a new church and I was going by myself, my assistant manager, who is also a good friend of mine, who was raised Buddhist, she went to the church with me for the first 6 weeks, just so
Wow.
that I wouldn't have to go by myself.
Wow.
And so that door has been wide open, and I know that the Lord is working on her.
Wow.
So
When we started Consumed, that was a conversation that we had. Do we overtly say that we are a faith based? Are we Christian? Are we Christian owned? Are we a Christian business? Right. And I was trying to figure that out. And of course, it wasn't mine to figure out. It really was God's, but it was me and God wrestling with that. And of course, I had the fear of, will that shut down a lot? Um, I have actually, although there has been some, I wouldn't say criticism, but question, like when people ask me, um, what do you do? And I say, we help Christian men and women take their skill set and their passion and turn it into a thriving coaching business. They're like, why Christian? So I've had a question about it, but believe it or not, over the last 4 years, we haven't had a lot of pushback necessarily from it. As a matter of fact, it actually has, like you said, brought people out of the woodwork. Like, you're like, someone was just looking for someone to say, hey, I'm here. Anybody else? Right. And it always seems nobody wants to go first, right? You're at the wedding, they open up the food bar, everybody's sitting. And if someone doesn't go, nobody's going. Everybody wants to be in the middle. They don't want to be last. They don't want to be first. And
right.
the fact that you were first just kind of probably empowered some people in your office, in your circle, to say, hey, me too. Me too. Uh,
Yeah.
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 So good. Yeah. So good. And one of the other things that I love about what you just said is sometimes it's just being. It's not that we preach it. It's not even that you have to put scripture reference to the values that you're introducing. We know the biblical values work and they're powerful. And sometimes it's just institute the values, let them see it, you be, and them know who you are. It just never, it never, it never fails that people put it two and two together and
Yeah.
they start to sense. I mean, you can't really hide him in all of that. It's going to start just shining, and that's when the questions start and the conversation starts, which are so powerful.
Sure.
And I know Reagan saw a lot of that also, going to public schools and
Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah, and things like that as well. um, you talk a lot about relational leadership. What does that mean, and why is it such a game changer when it comes to leadership?
I think when I came back, um, going back talking about how God just showed me like small steps in first place, one of the things that he really gave me was that word authenticity. And that was what I really concentrated on, was making real authentic relationships. And, I think that's, nobody wants to be a salesman, and I've never been a salesman, and I've never been the one that gets up as a manager and is that woo person, like Strength Finder says, I'm not going to be that cheerleader type person. Although you should have seen me at Curves, I could have done it back then. But but I am the person that people will come to in the quiet time. And that's because, I really try to get to know people. And I think that's where my strength lies. And it's because I really want to. Um, and I just building those authentic relationships to me is so much of what corporate leadership is missing these days. We have a lot of younger generations and a lot, not just generational, but a lot of people nowadays don't stay in one position very long. They'll come through and in a job where, like, I'm used to being somewhere 5, 6, 7 years before you move on, or maybe even, lifetime, where a lot of the nowadays the consensus is you go work for a position and for 2 years, what doesn't allow you to form a lot of bonds at work. And if you're on social media or anything, the whole family thing at work is kind of a taboo. You don't want them to feel like it's your family. And we kind of laugh at it here because these folks really are my family. I mean, I'm with them more than I'm with my husband, on a daily basis. And sad to say, but I see him definitely more than I see my kids. But yeah, and so I know, like, HR really discourages you to get so emotionally involved and stuff, but that's that's what we're called to do, is to love people, and not just, the people that you go to church with and the people that you know, I see from your family and stuff, is these people, everybody, the people that you are in leadership with, the people that are on your teams, and the people that are maybe not so easy to get along with. And, I'm definitely struggle with that myself, but I am not willing to give up on somebody easily. I really want those relationships, and I want to build them up. And that's part of being a leader, right? Is wanting to build other people up to that potential.
Yes.
And so, to me, it's the important part. When I was naming my business, we were doing a series at the church I attended. It was the relational, devotional, and missional life, and having to have that balance of all three. And it just really struck me about that relational piece. And I thought, that's one thing that we tend to overlook sometimes, especially in corporate leadership,
Yeah. Wow.
because it's just easier to do.
Yeah. Well, definitely as a Christian, it makes me think of 1 Corinthians 13. And it says that if you have not love, right, then you're just like a clanging cymbal, or literally what it's saying is that you're just noise. Like your words won't make impact. But with love, the opposite, if that's true, then the opposite is true. That if you truly do love people, then your word means something to them, and there's more clarity in what you say. My husband used to say all the time, he tried to remember that everybody was wearing a sign. Do you hear me? Do you see me? And can I trust you? And when he said, I was so much more effective when I realized that that sign was hanging there, and I needed to answer those questions well, so that my life would be effective on their life. So that's right. That's so good. So good. And so much of what we try to do at Consumed as well. I know my tagline in my email is, we're here for your success because we take it personal, and it is personal to us. We were even talking about Reagan earlier, finishing up with a client with a bit of tears, finishing her sessions. Although she's in another program with us, this is their last one-to-one, because it gets that personal.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I told Megan she couldn't stop. I said,
Yes.
I go,
So
I see how this works now. So I
Yeah.
got my certificate. I said, now you have to be my coach, because I said, otherwise I just have to pay you to be my friend or something, because we have to, I can't not talk to you every couple weeks.
Yes, I love that. I have clients I've been with 4 or 5 years, right? And yeah, I think it's huge. And, um, you know, Reagan, you can add in on this, but I keep a coach. If either I believe in coaching or I don't, yes, I'm a coach. I'm an executive coach. I've been a coach for 7 years now, but yeah, but I believe in coaching. So I can't see what I can't see. I need someone else to tell me.
No, no, I think it's great. I
Yeah.
mean, to have that,
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron and you have
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yes. Love
I'm,
that.
I'm always telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna run that by my coach and see.
Yes. Come on.
Oh gosh, I love that. Okay, so Tracey, I have two more questions for you. Okay, so one being for the Christian leader out there who feels stuck, who knows they're called to more but doesn't know what to do next. What's one powerful piece of advice today?
I I honestly think the best thing to do is strengthen your relationship with the Lord because he will guide you through everything. I mean, it's listening and having that alone time with him and being open
Mm.
and just not being afraid to step. Like I said, it's just been one step at a time. Now, I'm a very impatient person and I'm like, hey, God, could you just give me the whole outline? Because I really would like to plan this out and put my life together. Which he knows exactly how I am. So he's like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not
Yeah.
doing it your way, Tracey. So, it's been a real test for me, but it's good. I think it's really been hand in hand partnering with him and walking with him and being able to say, okay, I know when I need to take that next step is because I need to strengthen my relationship with him and I need to see how that communication is going,
Yes.
and what I can do there. And then the rest of it falls into place.
Amen.
And that's the easy answer. I mean, you don't have to stretch it and you don't have to push it.
Mhm.
It's he's going to tell you if you've got the lines of communication open.
Wow. Oh,
Love
that's huge. That's a huge piece of advice. And you guys, if y'all are listening and y'all didn't take notes, you need to take notes on that. Rewind it. Like go back right to that. Because that's so true with our relationship with the Lord. It's like strengthening that is the most important relationship you could have. And as much as we believe in, having open lines of communication with our teams or with family, strengthening those, how much more is it with our Heavenly Father, who's the author of our steps, right? Like he's the one leading and guiding. So don't we want to know him more to make sure that we can walk with him? And oh my word, Tracey, that's huge. Mom, do you have anything else? Because I know we just have a fun question at the end, but
Yes.
any other
Yes.
thing?
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
Mhm.
love it. Okay, so Tracey, we have this like fun question. And it says, if you could sit down for coffee with any biblical leader other than Jesus and pick their brain about leadership, who would it be and why?
So of course, Paul is like one of the first one that comes to my mind. I mean, but it seems so obvious. And then I'm like, well, I don't know. I think Moses would be a pretty great character to sit down and talk
Oh,
to.
come on.
I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah. He
because
didn't have an easy job, did he?
he, yeah, he's got some stories and some testing of faith and, talk about just the coaching questions that would come out of that conversation.
Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, his whole life was
Wow.
about leadership and about preparing and yeah, I he'd be
Yes.
top on the list, but there'd be so many more, I think.
Yes. Yes. So right. So right. I haven't really thought about that. He would know what it's like to have a coup. He would know,
Yeah,
right? He has it all.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, so
Oh,
good. So if somebody is like, Tracey, I need you in my life and I would love to have a conversation with you, how would someone find you?
My website is actually the relational is part of it. Lockwood Relational Leadership Coaching is a bit of a mouthful, but my website is just
Awesome.
lockwoodleadershipcoaching.com, and it's got a booking link right on it. And it's
Excellent.
also got my business line on it, which has texting. So even though I work my 9 to 5 and I am on the West Coast, I will be sure to get back to anybody.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. What's next? Do you know? Has the Lord opened up any like dreams or?
I I don't know. I think it sounds to me, feels to me like I'm moving on with this new bank at least,
Yeah.
during the transition part of it. But, I'm open to wherever he takes me.
Excellent.
As far as that goes, I am looking for some new beta clients and stuff because my coaching business did just start up. And like I said, I would really love to just meet with some different people.
Awesome.
I'm not even, Megan's gonna be like, Tracy, what are you doing back? I'm not even really concerned with.
Megan's going to be going, Francine, why'd you let her say that?
No, I know.
No, but I get it. Let me ask you this. If you were talking directly to that leader that you would really love to work with, or let's say that you're having a conversation and you're like, oh my goodness, if I could just get you in my chair. Tell me about that leader so that they'll recognize who they are.
I think my ideal client really reflects the person I was before I went out on medical leave.
Yes.
That that person who is kind of burned out and done,
Mm,
like
yes.
knows knows what corporate leadership looks like. I use the word corporate, but any kind of
Mhm.
leadership looks like, and is just tired of being constrained
Mhm.
by typical what HR is going to put in front of them or executives are going to put in front of them. And um, sorry, the train is going by.
Okay.
um, and or is maybe having difficulty with communication with the team, maybe,
Mhm.
in an age group where the younger team it's not connecting.
Yes. Yes. That
Um,
is a big pain point, isn't it? Because
mhm,
we've got a generational gap there.
mhm.
Um, and so navigating that is difficult. I love that. So if you're a leader right now and you're maybe you're a part of our day, or maybe you're listening to this content a lot later, maybe you're on our YouTube channel listening later. Um, if you are struggling, if you are burnt out, if you are like Tracy, you heard in the beginning and you're like, I resonate with that. I don't want to be a leader anymore. Just give me a job. Let me do my thing. But you know that you're still called to leadership. You're warring inside about it. Let Tracy help you along on that pathway and let her help you find your way.
Yes.
So excited. Tracy, thank you so much for being a part of our day.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
Awesome.
happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we pray that this is encouraging. And also, again, reach out to Tracy because your leadership is so important if God called you to it. So don't allow burnout to stop you. So reach out to her and get on her calendar. And then also, we cannot wait for you to finish out celebrating with us or watching the rest of these amazing interviews. We will see y'all soon. Thank you so much for joining.